Well, folks, there's more information about the Bridgeport election and the problems that don't even mention the biggest problem. Now they're saying that the votes were compromised again for a second time in the primary, and the judge, Judge Clark, has ruled against the Republican as disparaged treatment, which is a civil rights violation in the Gomes-Ganim case. And it is treason, folks, what's going on. The judge is saying one type of fraud mitigates the other, and obviously he has denied the writ of error, the habeas corpus, and those items have been sent to the Supreme Court 9 times, folks. But this is not the reason of this post. This is just an article that just popped up today that I think people need to know about. But what I want to mention is here on the screen and what's in my hand. Let me show you what's in my hand, and then I'll try to show you what's going on in the screen. People are concerned, okay, that George Soros had a hand in SCYTL. Now, SCYTL is a contracted third-party private equity firm that counts the vote in Connecticut. And if you look, SCYTL was purchased by Service Point. Then it was purchased by Innovative Solutions and Ecosystems. I don't know where they got that name. But then it was purchased by Paragon, which is a problem. And if you look at this article, it outlines quite a few problems that that's much more concerning than just having George Soros own it. It has ties to Bill Gates. It has ties to, and if you look at the articles, it's got Joe Biden written all over it. They deploy graphite, which is a 35 countries use graphite programming in the Paragon contract. And here, Haynes was put in charge by Biden as D&I head of technology. She oversees the 16 departments like ATF, CIA, FBI, DEA. And the problem here is that she is working for U.S. Senator Murphy, who is Department of Homeland Senate Subcommittee Chair, and she's working up here with Anthony Blinken, and who was ex-U.S. ambassador to Israel, okay, and other White House officials. But more importantly, this article in my hand, we need to go over. I want to briefly touch on who Ehud Shorenson was, the founder, okay, of Paragon, right here, who was Mossad, okay? And when you go down the list here, now Paragon Solutions is involved, okay, another entity. Innovative Solutions was a Paragon group that bought SCYTL. But when you look through here, you'll see the venture capital raised $9 million in 2006 by Balderton Capital and Nauta Capital. And you should read what these different multiple funding sources are. Vulcan Capital, Sapphire Ventures, VI Capital's Adam Street Partners, and, listen to this, Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft with Bill Gates, invested $70 million in SCYTL in 2014. So we have Gates, we have the list I'm about to go through in my hand, okay? All these connections. Who owns SCYTL? Ready? Go to this article. It has a hard time coming up. Let's see if it comes up. Right here, okay. If you go down this article, you will see Balderton Capital, spinoff of Benchmark, You got to look into these things. Now to capital. Why? I'll tell you why. SCYTL purchased an interest in the software company ES&S, which is also contracted by Connecticut and 30 states in America. Those are the 30 states that Connecticut hacked. And ES&S U.S. subsidiary was sued by the DOJ in 2009 on grounds after purchasing Diebold Premier Election Solutions, okay, sold to rival Dominion. Okay, now Bob Orasevich, founder of ES&S, was president of Diebold. That's not the bad part. You can look and see what the Bush family influenced over Carlyle Group had an effect. The CIA owned SCYTL. NSA owned SCYTL. Landmark Aviation used SCYTL in drug busts. James Clapper, big no-no, okay? Treasonous James Clapper, who I believe was executed by the military in September for treason. And if you go down, Booz Allen, programs with Echelon Carnivore, Thin Thread, Stellar Wind, and FISA, Foreign Intelligence Service Surveillance Act, and breaches of the Fourth Amendment. Keep reading. It's just the beginning, okay? Here we go. The system bears similarity to SCYTL, okay? Booz Allen, voter registration system networks, okay? Just like poll books, No Ink, okay? No Ink has the ability to backdate votes 60 days, folks, for a fee. And it has a geolocator, which enables us to see where the hacks are done. When you go through this book, this is the problem. I'm getting to it right here. Carrier Q is part of SCYTL, okay? Carrier Q is part of SCYTL. It is automatically installed on smartphones by Apple, HTC, NEC, Samsung, AT&T, Sprint, Mobile, and more, okay? And the FBI said that SCYTL is possibly in violation of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act. Okay? It's saying Carrier Q is being used for domestic surveillance of American citizens. So here we are. They count the vote, okay? And they are investigating American citizens. When you read the fine print at the bottom, okay, of these contracts, it says, with wireless reporting, targeted man-in-the-middle attacks against certain precincts could tip election results without leaving an evidence or trace that they were hacked in the first place. Okay? So what's going on is these people are investing in these phones in my hand through Paragon, through SCYTL, to change the votes. And they're using programs, quite a few, which aren't even mentioned here, folks. And it's a scary topic when they're saying, good thing it's everyone but George Soros, when in fact it's Bill Gates. And it's wiretap. Read this part about Booz Allen. Wiretapping programs spying on U.S. citizens for Christopher Murphy, working with Avril Haines, okay, with seed money from Bill Gates and connections from Connecticut to CISA, SEER, and every other hacking tool and the database that now tie in through FTX to QQ Alibaba. James Comey of Connecticut, who I also believe is now a kaput. I think he's kaput. I'm hearing and reading things which I can't confirm or deny, but Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act enters into this. And what does that implicate? Blumenthal. In 2013, Richard Blumenthal and 18 Democrats redid the FISA abuse guidelines, including surveillance for the Patriot Act. And now we're finding out what NAUDA and their website does, what Endicott did, what Stellar Wind did, what Booz Allen did, what James Clapper did, what George Little did. Media relations for the CIA. Dov Zakheim, controller of the Pentagon and part owner of Landmark Aviation, using all these programs for drug trafficking. Trafficking and drugs. Folks, the problem with these programs is that it undermines your neural rights. They are hacking, learning how to hack your thoughts to make you lemmings to follow the DNC. And have you had trouble convincing a Democrat, to read the newspaper and get their own facts instead of listening to Hearst Media in Connecticut? Because Hearst has done a much finer job than CNN in making people think the same way. And when you read these documents, they're straight up telling you right out of the book. Clarity Software Suite uses 525 jurisdictions, I'm reading on the screen, in 19 states, partnerships with ES&S, which Connecticut is using to hack you through the DMV. And that's exactly what Trinity College did. That's exactly what Danbury did when they hacked Pennsylvania, when Southington hacked Wisconsin, when Shelton hacked Michigan, when the list goes on and on and on about the hacks, okay? Colchester hacked Oklahoma. Why? Because they needed 10 million votes, and they went and took them from where they were least expected. So every state got hacked. To keep the number down, 700,000 got hacked in the state of California. The entire Maricopa County is erroneous, and so is Pima County. And guess who did that? Gartner Group in Stamford, Connecticut. Guess who did Tyler Technology hacks? You can't, I have the data. You can trace it. It's very complicated, and you can find out who's who. But there are so many players in election fraud, folks. You are being told it's secure. The most secure election in history. Yeah. Because the connections to the hacking is secure. They're not talking about your vote. They're talking about the fraud in counting the vote. The fraud in the counting of the vote is the problem, because my Secretary of State destroyed the cast vote record, Stephanie Thomas, already in the 22 election. Her own election she hacked. And Denise Merrill, Mark Kohler, all these people were using Ted Bromley, who I can easily prove caused election fraud. Folks, I have votes. Where did they go? I got 0. I got 57,962 signatures to get on the ballot. I have my vote. I have a picture of Heather Lindsay's vote. I have a picture of Andrew Pritchard's vote for me. I got 0. So not only are the votes destroyed, they're replaced by fake votes of Chris Murphy in the DMV with the understanding, with the MOU, understanding document, and guess who else We're going to have to pick up and talk about, all these other partners. Spinnaker, we haven't talked about that. Balderton Capital, we haven't talked about that. There are privacy issues. There are identity theft. There are felonies for every signature that was made that was lost. That's a felony. And that's on the Supreme Court of the state of Connecticut right now. Why? Because I uploaded the thing 9 times, didn't get a court date, didn't get a case number. Those documents are destroyed. The guy doing it is named Carl Cicchetti. And according to the staff, they all know he's been served, or I gave the marshal the documentations to serve him in a federal trial. He should not be interfering with the Supreme Court case documents, which are now missing. Uploaded 9 times and missing. They want me to upload it again. They should have it 9 times. It should be in the screen, and there should be a record of the number. So when you look at who the owners are, Riva, Y, Garcia, who is that? Who is Hutan Yagubita? Who is Hutan Yagubita? Okay? Why is he determining who won the Connecticut election by the algorithm? Sorry, I think I went too long. I apologize. But for me to explain this, it takes time, and I thank you for listening. There are things coming up which will shock you to your conscience, to your core. And doing the research is important. We have Jonathan to thank for that. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. But Carrier Q has the ability to hack your phone through any AT&T, Sprint, local carriers. They're using the Diebold Dominion software from SCYTL, ES&S, and they can reach any town in America through the system that they've been using. And I know how to do it. So we have to safeguard ourselves somehow. Thank you very much for listening.